The tension in the congressional hearing room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Judge Amul Thapar sat behind the witness table, his dark suit pressed to perfection, fingers drumming against the polished wood as he prepared what he thought would be an easy takedown. Across from him, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett adjusted her blazer, her eyes sharp and focused like a laser beam dot. What happened next would leave everyone in that room completely speechless. Thapar had walked into this confirmation hearing thinking he could steamroll the young congresswoman from Texas. After all, he was a federal appeals court judge with years of experience, a legal mind that had ruled on countless cases. She was just a first-term representative who dared to question his record. But Thapar had no idea what was coming. The moment Crockett opened her mouth, everything changed. What she pulled out next didn't just surprise Thapar. It absolutely destroyed his entire argument and left him scrambling for words he couldn't find. Before we dive into this incredible showdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on the latest political battles that are shaping America. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. This wasn't just another boring congressional hearing. This was about to become the most talked about judicial confirmation moment in recent memory. Judge Amul Thapar represented everything about the established legal system that many Americans had grown tired of. At 54, he had built his career as a conservative jurist, appointed to the federal bench during previous Republican administrations. His supporters praised him as a constitutional originalist who followed the law to the letter. His critics saw him as someone out of touch with modern America, particularly when it came to civil rights and social justice issues. Thapar's rise through the judicial ranks had been meteoric and carefully orchestrated. Born to immigrant parents who had built a successful life in America, he often spoke about his family's journey as proof that the American dream was alive and well. His personal story resonated with many conservatives who saw him as living proof that merit and hard work could overcome any obstacle. But critics pointed out that Thapar's privileged position as a federal judge had insulated him from the harsh realities faced by defendants who appeared in his courtroom. Unlike the struggling families who came before him seeking justice, Thapar lived in an upscale neighborhood, sent his children to elite private schools, and moved in circles where contact with law enforcement was limited to friendly conversations. At charity events, Thapar had a reputation for being sharp during oral arguments, known for cutting off lawyers mid-sentence and delivering pointed questions that often left attorneys stammering. His questioning style was aggressive and intimidating, designed to expose weaknesses in legal arguments through rapid-fire interrogation. He carried himself with the confidence of someone who had never really been challenged by anyone he considered his intellectual inferior. His confirmation hearing strategy had been developed by a team of conservative legal experts who had guided dozens of judicial nominees through the process. They had prepared him for questions about hot-button issues like abortion rights, gun control, and religious freedom. They had crafted careful answers that would satisfy conservative supporters while avoiding statements that might alarm moderate senators. What they hadn't prepared him for was someone who would focus on the real-world impact of his judicial decisions. Rather than abstract constitutional theory. Today, he expected more of the same routine questioning he had breezed through in previous confirmation hearings. On the other side sat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a 43-year-old civil rights attorney turned politician who had made waves since arriving in Washington. Unlike many of her colleagues who came from political families or spent decades climbing the party ladder, Crockett had fought real battles in courtrooms across Texas. She had defended clients who couldn't afford high-priced lawyers and took on cases that bigger firms wouldn't touch. Crockett's background was starkly different from the typical congressional representative. She had grown up in a working-class family where money was always tight and opportunities were scarce. Her parents had worked multiple jobs to keep the family afloat, and she had witnessed firsthand how the justice system treated people differently, based on their economic status. During her years as a public defender, Crockett had represented hundreds of defendants who found themselves caught in a system that seemed designed to punish poverty rather than deliver justice. She had watched talented young people receive harsh sentences for minor drug offenses, while wealthy defendants with better lawyers walked away with probation for similar crimes. Her transition from courtroom attorney to congressional representative hadn't been easy. The political establishment initially dismissed her as too inexperienced and too confrontational for the careful dance of legislative politics. But Crockett had proven them wrong by focusing on substantive policy work rather than partisan grandstanding. She had spent her first term in Congress building a reputation as someone who did her homework. While other representatives relied on staff briefings and talking points, Crockett personally reviewed every piece of legislation that came before her committees. She approached politics the same way she had approached legal cases, with meticulous preparation and an unwavering focus on facts. Crockett wasn't just another politician asking softball questions for the cameras. She was a former public